Hi, everyone.
Hi.
It's us. It's us. We're back. It's me, Colin Burns, and my wife, Sarah.
Hello.
Sarah is an artist, right?
Yeah.
And my wife.
And your wife, yes.
And today we're going to be talking about Dark Souls 3. So, something really cool that's been happening is we've done 2 of these videos already. And the response has been awesome. Just even getting a single comment would have been super cool, but we've gotten a bunch.
Yeah, thank you.
They mean the world to me. And actually, Sarah, I didn't tell you this.
Yeah?
But I was at work the other day, and I was kind of just minding my business, and a couple of my coworkers came up to me, and they were holding a globe. And they were like, hey, we wanted to give you this. And I was like, oh, are these YouTube comments and likes and stuff? And they were like, what? And I said, yeah. Oh, sorry. That's the world to me, is getting YouTube comments. So that really happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that really happened, because I'm constantly being handed globes at my science job. No, of course that didn't happen.
Duh.
But the sentiment is true. That I like reading the comments from people.
It's a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
So I think, we're going to have to keep being controversial, keep being entertaining, keep being so in love.
So in love.
Because that's our competitive edge.
Mm-hmm.
How many married couples are out here ranking stuff?
From software?
Yeah.
Probably not
and
that many.
We both played it. We've platinumed some of these games.
At the same time.
Yeah, we did this one together.
Yeah.
In parts, I think.
Yeah.
We did the DLC together.
Well, I played it for the first time back in 2019. You bought me the game.
Oh, did I?
After you bought me Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And before you bought me Dark Souls 2.
You know, when you say all that, it kind of sounds like I was giving you special little gifts. When in reality, I was just so thrilled to be talking to a fellow gamer about a massive blind spot of yours, these Souls games and Bloodborne. So yeah, of course I had to educate you.
It was very nice of you. I owe a lot of my artistic growth around this time to you and your influence from software games. Dark Souls 3 in particular it meant a lot to me. I think Bloodborne was really fun, but because it was my first From Software game, I think it was still kind of alien to me. But by the time I played Dark Souls 3, I kind of had a handle on how the stories were told, to kind of pay attention to item descriptions of things that I cared about. Lothric and Lorien, I made sure to read everything about them because I thought they were cool. So this game, it means a lot to me, aesthetically, narratively, gameplay wise.
Yeah, a lot of your art is armor and stained glass and castles, and there's a lot of that in this.
Yeah, I love fire imagery,
gothic
snakes
stuff.
and dragons. Yeah, so I'm really excited to rank these bosses today.
Yeah, I think there are some really good ones in Dark Souls 3. My favorite FromSoft fight of all time is in this game.
I think I know which one it is.
Yeah, I think I know because it's yours too.
Yes.
But we will get into it. And also thank you for shouting out my impact on your art.
Of course.
Playing D&D with you was a real hoot.
Yeah.
And your art when we played those games, and you just asking me tons of questions about my world building and like session to session, that really got my wheels turning. So
yeah, we inspired each other through that period in our lives.
My art's much less visible. It kind of just exists in a moment and then fades away.
You're a storyteller. You're kind of like a bard in that way.
Well, okay, sure. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
But you've had a very large influence on me as well. So, Yeah, I mean, I fucking love you, dude.
We're best friends,
Yeah.
and we inspire each other.
Yeah. Oh, best friends,
Best
and
friends.
we're in love.
Damn.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And here
Pretty
we
good.
are.
Pretty good. And here we are ranking. Let's get into this before everyone gets sick of this.
Blech. All right.
Okay.
Abyss Watchers.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. Sarah.
What?
Sarah.
Did I jump?
You've
did I jump
simply
the
forgotten.
gun? Oh my God! Right.
There's
Sorry.
more to a ranking
There's
than
more.
just
There's more preamble.
naming and shaming.
Right. Okay. So, off screen, off mic, we have created our standard tier maker.
Devious tears.
Tiers. Yes.
Would you like to play a game? In life, you ranked bosses. Boy, we're having a silly one, aren't we?
Yeah, that's good though.
Okay.
Good energy.
So let's just blitz through these. Let's waste no more time.
All right, run it.
S. These are bosses that are infinitely interesting that we would play over and over again. We'd want to put a save file right in front of these bosses. If we were plugged into a machine that made us relive the last 3 minutes of our life forever and ever and ever in perpetuity, and it was right in front of this boss or after the boss, that'd be cool. Like, it'd be way better than getting on the bus every 3 minutes for the rest of your, if you're like in that horrible torture device.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
A. These are iconic, influential, or inspiring. These are bosses that you think of when you think of Dark Souls 3. I'm talking knights. I'm talking swords, fire, darkness, souls.
Dragons?
Yeah, dragons.
Okay.
All right,
You're gonna stop that?
I'm gonna pull back like 30%.
Okay, go ahead.
B.
B.
B is for good.
But it didn't change your life.
But it did not change your life. So if S is very life-changing, and A is iconic, amazing, but not life-changing, B is just good.
Yeah.
But not so good that you're like, oh, you have to play this game for this boss. B is more like, hey, what a treat that you got to fight this boss.
On to the next one.
But on to the next one. Which takes it down to C.
Oof.
Oh, you don't want to be C.
Glad it's over.
That means you beat it and you're moving on, and it's like, yeah, I did it. I'm glad I beat it. I'm glad it's in the game, but like, it's not doing anything for me really. And then D, the most nefarious tier of all. D.
I wonder if anything will even make it into this.
Oh,
you think? Elden Ring got by without having a single D boss.
Elden Ring Remembrance got by without having any D bosses.
That's true.
The main cast of that game, half of them were Ds.
Yeah, that's why we had to re-record that so many times.
But I'm looking at one boss right now in this list that is such a shoo-in for a D. And there's a couple others. I mean, it all comes down to how harsh you want to be, because my knives are out. I am like sharpening them.
Ooh.
I'm licking my lips. I'm ready for blood.
Okay.
I'm going to take these bosses down to size.
All right. So how about you sink your teeth into the Abyss Watchers?
So we're good on the tiers?
Yes.
You understand them?
Yeah, I
Okay,
get them.
pop quiz. What's B?
Good, but didn't change your life.
Okay, good job.
Thanks. I can read.
You've introduced it twice now.
Abyss Watchers.
3 times the charm. All right. A.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're kind of.
Do you want me to tell you why?
I mean, they're kind of A-shaped if you look at them. They're little hats.
Okay, that's too silly.
That's too
silly.
Okay, reeling it
Putting
back.
the kibosh on the silliness.
Okay, go ahead.
People aren't going to take us seriously if we don't take this seriously.
Yes, sir.
The Abyss Watchers have a very cool design.
Yes.
I like their little helmets. I like their silhouette. I like in the opening cutscene the way they kind of rise up in unison. Lore-wise, I like that they all share the same soul as Artorias of the Abyss from Dark Souls 1. One of the coolest guys. When I played Dark Souls 1 when it came out, Artorias was like the coolest guy. I liked his blue armor. I liked his fucked up little leggies. I liked that he had a pet wolf that was like totally loyal to him. And the Abyss Watchers inheriting that story mantle, I find very compelling, and I found it very compelling. Now, I know we just started, but I'm also feeling like taking a little bit of a detour to just explain one thing about Dark Souls 3 that I'm not even saying is necessarily a problem, but for me, my favorite game of the trilogy is Dark Souls 2. Arguably, Dark Souls 3 is as good, if not a better game. They're different games. They have different design philosophies. And a big part of why I like Dark Souls 2 is when I played it in my life. Because when you come to a piece of art, a piece of media, it's always going to be different where you are in your life. Something cool about Dark Souls 2, because again, I played all these games contemporaneously when they came out. You actually played them in reverse order.
Yes, I did.
Which will probably factor into how you feel about some of these.
Hugely.
Dark Souls 1, really cool story. Hadn't heard the Dark Souls story before.
Right.
Linking the fire, this sort of sense of doom. The Age of Gods has sort of fallen into it's sunsetting. Gwyn is just a lord of Cinder. Great. You play Dark Souls 1, you get that story. Dark Souls 2, it takes place so far in the future that everything from Dark Souls 1 is long gone. It's a myth. If you're recognizing reincarnated souls, that's because you're an observant player and you go, oh, the Rotten, that's kind of like Gravelord Nito's soul. Or, oh, there's like a broken statue of a warrior of sunlight. Like, there's all this referential stuff, but it's all like prehistoric. No one in the world knows about it. And you're getting like these tangential references that pay you off to be observant. Dark Souls 3, they went basically back the other direction where it's like, this is the soul of Gwyn. Gwyn was this guy. It's like everyone suddenly got access to the Dark Souls wiki when they were like writing the descriptions. So that sense of history and lost legacy, I loved that in 2, and I kind of missed it in 3. And Abyss Watchers are so, to me, like, the reason why I'm going off on this tangent right away is because they're very, very representative of just, it is a explicit reference to Dark Souls 1, and the game like tells you so. Now I don't have all the item descriptions memorized, so maybe it doesn't literally tell you so, but there are so many examples of people being name dropped and everything.
Right.
So does that take away any points from the Abyss Watchers that they're an overt reference? No, but I just wanted to put that out there and see if there's any other Dark Souls 2 boomers out there that kind of feel the same way as I do or noticed the same thing about the storytelling between the games. So based on looks and lore, I'm already at an A. I'm sorry, I've also just been bulldozing you.
No, it's okay. I like hearing you talk.
I have so much to say.
I know, and that's okay.
But you're so beautiful. I love the way you're looking at me right now.
Blink, blink, blink.
I didn't know your eyes made that sound. No, I did. The actual fight, you show up in the room, and they're like, it's the Abyss Watchers, and they're just killing each other.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I mean...
Wait.
Huh?
You taught me, for YouTube, I shouldn't say the K word.
Oh, yeah, you say unalive.
So, it's a bunch of unaliving Avengers.
Yes.
And they're unaliving each other. They're rendering each other lifeless via sword. And the first phase is you're fighting multiple of them. If you don't unalive, I don't want to do this.
You could just say kill. It's fine.
If you don't want to kill, if you don't kill the first one fast enough, another one pops up. And then phase 2, they all bleed into one super Abyss Watcher.
And they have a fire sword.
And they get a cool fire effect, and you fight them. 2-phase fights, always cool.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-enemy fights, always not cool.
Yeah.
So, I think all that said, my long, rambly road coming to an end, A- for me.
Yeah, I'd put it there. I think the Abyss Watchers were a cool introduction into the game. I feel like they were the first kind of wall that I hit, you know? Because I don't think I had trouble with any of the other previous bosses up until this point, and I think it's because, like you said, there's multiple enemies, harder to deal with. How do you balance it? And so, yeah, I'd put it in an A-. I agree.
Okay, cool. I am glad you think so. Next we have Aldrich, who ate so much he fattened into sludge.
You ready for my rant?
Okay, let me just... Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so as Colin said previously, I experienced these games in reverse chronological order. So I played Dark Souls 3 first, obviously. So I was really excited when I first saw Aldrich, you know, and there was also the anticipation of like, oh, what's he gonna look like and all that kind of stuff, because
tons of lore.
You also, you know, go to the Cathedral of the Deep, which was one of my favorite zones in the game. You know, you fight through this beautiful crumbling church. You get to the end, and instead of finding him, you fight the Deacons of the Deep. So they're kind of like, you know, kind of feel like a fish on the end of a hook, you know, they're kind of dragging you along a little bit. So when you finally see him in Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, sick area, best area in the game.
Yeah, you've worked hard to get to him.
And he's like this beautiful, keep in mind, did not know who Gwendolyn was, beautiful Bishonen mage archer on top of like an evil slug body. I was smitten. I loved this thing. I thought the fight was super fun. I felt catered to visually. And that alone, I put that thing in a high A.
High A?
Yeah. I think the actual mechanics of the fight weren't that crazy. You know, I loved his spear that he used to summon the little stars that would kind of track you around the room. I liked that he would disappear into like fire goo puddles and reappear, and you have to chase him around, which is kind of annoying in some points, but yeah, I really liked this fight.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Beautiful. A+.
All right, is that your rant?
Yeah.
I liked that Aldrich was one of the major antagonists of the game, and basically up until you fight Aldrich, you're aware that they're a troublemaker, that so many of the bad things that have happened in this world are because of Aldrich's meddling and consuming things. There is a little bit of dissonance for me when you find Aldrich, and because I knew who Gwendolyn was, I was like, oh, he's eating Gwendolyn. And knowing that Aldrich is just sort of like a black slug
who dreams of the deep sea.
But here's the thing, and I know I've talked about this before. The consequence of these games being the way they're designed is you don't get a chance to really talk to or experience the point of view of enemies or bosses. But I have a really hard time seeing how Aldrich is able to like have a cult of personality around him, how he's able to send messages or convey orders or really do anything other than be sludge.
But he's got like the cute anime body on top of him, so like.
But okay, so before he started,
I worship.
Yeah, I know you would. Before he started eating Gwendolyn, how did he communicate? Because Gwendolyn talk. Because Gwendolyn can talk in Dark Souls 1, but not when it's stuck on Aldrich. You'd almost think that there'd be a little like monologuing from this guy when you roll up. He'd be like,
that would have been fun.
"You've made it to my domain."
You don't think he'd have a sexy voice?
It would probably be all like gurgly and slug-like.
That'd
like,
be cool too.
Yeah. So, A+ is fine with me, but look, I'm gonna freaking brutal in these these reviews.
I'm sorry. If you're cute, you go higher.
I'm picking nits. I'm saying my opinions on these things. I don't mind being a little bit of a hater because
that's what gets views.
It also, well, I mean, nothing's gonna contribute to that really. But if I'm being critical about these things, I think it also shows that the things I love, I'm having that exact same amount of passion towards.
I'm that soldier protecting the sleeping child in that one drawing. I'm like, no, Aldrich, I'll protect you.
Yeah. Well, no one and nothing can protect the ancient wyvern
I'm
from
stepping out of the way and letting that thing get hit by a dozen daggers.
Yeah. So ancient wyvern. Let me just explain this fight Okay, fight's a very strong word.
Yeah.
Let me explain this extremely boring encounter. You are in the Dragon Eyrie or whatever it's called in this game. You're up high. It's windy. There's snake men everywhere. It's ancient. Oh, this is so cool. I hope I see a dragon. Whoa, a big dragon. What's messages on the ground? Oh, the game is explicitly telling me to run through this really boring gauntlet. I'll just run past all these snake enemies and get higher and higher, but I'm in a boss fight. How strange. Oh, it's telling me to climb a ladder. Oh, look, there's a message saying to try a plunge attack. Okay. Oh, I one-shot the boss. It's basically holding your hand the entire way through.
Yeah.
You don't even feel clever for doing it because it literally walks you to the point where you're supposed to do the plunge attack and then explicitly says, do a plunge attack.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they wanted to do with this boss. Like, why didn't they
make it a normal dragon fight?
Well, okay, maybe they didn't want to have a big dragon fight. There's one in the DLC.
Oh yeah.
None in the base game.
You're right.
I don't understand.
So bizarre.
It's not satisfying. It's not fun. I would be very interested because I'm not doing any research on this. What am I, a researcher? I mean, technically I'm a researcher in my real life. Mm-hmm. But sorry, grabbed you a little strong there. But if there's any interview out there with like one of the developers that's explaining what their intention was, or if you, the listener / viewer, have an idea, I would love to be convinced that there was something interesting happening here because I don't see it.
Wasn't there was it in Dark Souls 2, the dragon, the big dragon in the cage area with all of the, or was that one?
No, Dark Souls 2.
They had that dragon that just kind of like talked to you.
No, okay, yes. There was a dragon in a cage in Dark Souls 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's an Aldea's Keep.
Right.
And beating that dragon lets you go up to the dragon peak area. Mm-hmm. And then you get to like this old temple and you climb up to the top and there's an ancient dragon. Yeah.
Do you think they were trying to like kind of mimic that
experience
a little bit?
Zero percent chance.
Maybe I was just trying to give it too much credit.
Yeah.
Also, full disclosure, I only played Dark Souls 2 once.
I played it a few more times than that.
So, yeah.
I love the ancient dragon. Oops. The murk shifts and stirs. Yeah, love that boss.
If it were here, we'd rank it, but it isn't.
Yeah. Oh, we should do Dark Souls 2.
I'll smile and nod through most of those boss fights.
It's okay. You can be here to be like, I like the design.
And likewise for Sekiro, because I played that game like 4 times and you only played it once.
Yeah, I know we've talked about doing Sekiro. I will be able to contribute so little to it.
Right. It's fine. We can trade off. All right. Let's continue.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm just on a friggin' tear.
Well, it's also not your fault.
Yeah.
These are in alphabetical order for the most part.
The champion Gravetender. So this is again another consequence of it being me chronologically playing through these games. I know who Sif is. I know what a big wolf in this game means and what it's calling back to. And I think Dark Souls 3 becomes a victim in some ways of being a sequel to Dark Souls 1. Because if this game was called like Armor Knight Dark World, I'd be like, okay, this is fine. Like, I don't think this fight would be more than a C for then. But just this fight, you're fighting like a little guy and you're fighting like a big wolf and you're fighting a bunch of small wolves, and like the big wolf and the little guy are supposed to have some kind of bond, although that doesn't come through in the gameplay whatsoever.
No.
It's just told to you afterwards and you can kind of figure out because they're in the same boss arena. But this isn't Sif. And when you fight Sif in Dark Souls 1, it's this emotional thing where you get a sense of honor from a damn dog. Mm-hmm. And you feel bad killing it. And it's also a hard boss fight, and the dog has a sword, and that's very cool.
Iconic.
And then Champion Gravetender is just like a big wolf. There's no real emotions tied to beating it. It's just what if common wolf enemy, but bigger. And to me, I'm not going to say that puts it into D, although I would argue that it's a pretty forgettable boss, and that makes it a D.
Not the highlight of the DLC.
But if you care about it at all, if you have any strength left in that frame of yours to carry on and bring this champion Gravetender up to a C, I won't fight you on it. I'm just a personal hater because I'm comparing this boss to the version that I think worked super well in Dark Souls 1.
Well, I feel like putting it next to the Ancient Wyvern might do it a little bit of a disservice, simply because it's an actual boss fight.
Yeah.
You know, like you actually have to fight it. It has like a real life health bar and mechanics. I don't like when you have to fight multiple enemies at once. I don't like having to kite stuff around an arena, you know, whittle things down and before I can actually start hitting the damn boss. Whittle. So I'd put that thing in C.
Okay.
Now it will continue to tick down into the low C's as more bosses join it, but I think that's a fine place to put it.
Okay, cool. So next, we'll judge these as a pair.
Yes.
But we have Iudex Gundyr, which is the very first boss of the game. And then we have Champion Gundyr, which is late in the game. You come back to a shadow version of the opening area, and you fight that boss in its prime, I guess.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a pretty good introduction boss into the game. You know, it kind of showcased all of the promises it was making for the rest of the game. You know, big knight, cool sword, and then the phase 2 was also
with
really cool.
The pus of man explodes out of it.
So I think it was a really good tutorial boss. Now, did it change my life? No, but as a first boss in my first Dark Souls game, I think it was better than my experience with the Asylum Demon.
In one.
In one. So I feel I put it at a B, you know?
Did you, I'm just curious, in Dark Souls 1, did you try and beat the Asylum Demon the first time you ran into it?
I think you had already spoiled for me that I wasn't supposed to.
Okay.
So I didn't do that, no.
Okay. So Iudex Gundyr Epi.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry for spoiling that for you.
No, it's totally fine. I think you were just like, it wasn't like you were aware that you were doing it. I think we were just like talking about the games, and you were
probably long before you had ever played it.
Exactly. You were like explaining to me like how
it's
Dark
cool,
Souls teaches you, and you don't have to fight things the first time you see it, and you can run away and come back. And then I remembered that.
I love running away.
You do.
So Iudex Gundyr, I totally agree that it's a good first boss for all the reasons you said. It's also one of the smallest first bosses you ever fight in these games. Because it's not a demon. It's not a cleric beast. It's not a last giant or whatever it is in Elden Ring. That game's too non-linear.
Oh no, that was the stabby cherub face on the multiple hands, arms.
Stabby cherub
the big
face
thing.
On the multiple
and you're
hands.
Supposed to lose.
Oh yes.
The freaking
the grafted.
The grafted thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it was different.
It was different. Cool guy.
Yeah. Champion Gundyr, not as great of a boss fight, but I do have good memories of, you know, getting down there. Like, you know, it's all dark. There's like, you know, an abnormal amount of darkness down there. And it was really cool suddenly recognizing where I was before I even came across his boss gate. And that was super duper fun to be like, oh my God, it's the shrine. It's the Firelink Shrine.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And then you see him, and that was fun. That was cool.
Well, if you're excited about that, then I have to represent the other half, which is like...
Well, they did it again in Elden Ring.
Yeah, they love to do that. They did it in Bloodborne, too.
You're right.
Where it's like...
Methinks there's a pattern here.
Well, 3 things. 3 games having an area be recreated in another area, except this one's twisted.
Dork.
Yeah, I mean, the fight itself is not particularly interesting.
No.
It's just a guy with a sword. And then the Champion Gundyr version, there's not even like a phase change associated with it.
Not even a passive man.
Not that it needs it, Also, the lore for this guy, I kind of wish we had been given a little more, so I would give a shit finding out, who he was. Obviously, you can infer a lot of stuff. I'm sure there's like a 30-minute Vadi video about like...
Prepare to cry, Champion Gundyr.
Did you know that Champion Gundyr... I can't do a fancy Australian accent. But, yeah. I think low B. Yeah. I would put something in between this if there was something to put in between.
Kind of like a Crystal Sage?
I don't think Crystal Sage is a B.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like their hat.
Yeah. Obviously, they have a cool hat.
Obviously. It's the first thing you see.
I like that they're being swallowed up in their robes.
Yeah, the cloth animation is really nice.
Tying back to Dark Souls 1, Big Hat Logan was one of my favorite characters.
It's a funny name, yeah.
Well, he's got a big hat.
Yeah, it's
you
funny.
see he
yes,
has...
yes, I see.
His cranial covering is quite large.
Endowed.
Jeez.
What?
Endowed?
Sorry, it's a big hat.
It's a hat, Sarah. He's got a big hat.
You know what they say about a wizard with a big hat?
Big wand.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the crystals...
Clever.
I'm just like, yeah. I'm loose. I'm playing.
Yeah, all right.
Crystal Sage.
Goes in the
penis. Crystal Sage. I like its crystal magic. Mm-hmm. I like that it I don't like that it teleports around and makes clones.
Yeah, you don't like that.
That's a mechanic that I find kind of...
Do you like its mask?
Tedious. Yeah.
The bird mask.
I like that it looks kind of like a skeleton bird.
That's fun.
It's not my favorite design visually, but it's... To me, it's a C+ design.
Okay, yeah. I'd agree.
Again, no phase changes. It shows up later as like a mini boss.
Well, because there's two of them, right? There's like the two Crystal Sages.
But showing up as a mini boss, that takes away some of your street cred.
It does.
And
when you have a twin.
So, to me, it's just kind of like I'm not even glad it's like I think it's in a weird limbo between B and C for me. But I think that actually makes it a C.
Yeah. Now this.
Who?
The Dancer of the Boreal Valley? Sir, you're looking at our first S rank.
Srank?
Our Srank.
Why are you sranking the Dancer?
Well, first of all, her introduction. Iconic.
What happens?
She slithers out of a hole in the ceiling.
And it kind of looks like she's being born.
Yeah, I guess yeah. She is a very tall, lanky.
Mm-hmm. Lanky.
So graceful.
Very graceful.
The cloth animation, she looks like she's moving through water. Mm-hmm. Her boss music is absolutely glorious. I love that she's fire and ice, like Angle and Devil. The mechanics of the fight are super fun to learn. It felt like a dance, I felt really rewarded after I beat her. I felt accomplished. It was definitely one of the most satisfying fights in the base game for me. I wore her armor all of the time after that, especially the hat, because I loved the veil. I think visually it's one of my favorite boss fights in the game, even in FromSoft history. And yeah, I just thought it was such a cool fight. I like that the room catches on fire. And yeah, it was just a really fun fight. Okay, your turn.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will echo many of your sentiments. I love this fight. I love the boss itself. Visually, she blue, she's silver. Mm-hmm. But the room, because of the fire, becomes very red.
Diametrically opposed.
Yeah, and red and blue are sort of like angels and devils.
Yeah, if you think about it.
Well, don't think too hard. You'll blow a gasket. I like her little cage face, so you can't see, how beautiful she probably is under there.
How monstrous.
I like that she's hunched over. We've seen other Boreal Valley knights at this point. One of the first bosses is Vordt, who we'll talk about kind of close to the end. Mm-hmm. We've seen the rings from Pontiff Sulyvahn at this point that he gives to knights that he sends on quests where their minds slowly degrade and they become beasts and crawl around on all fours. She's still upright on two legs, So there is this like really interesting bit of visual storytelling that she is halfway between a dancer, which is someone who has to be so poised and posed and in control of their body, and a just a beast, which is all instinct and has no sense of poise. She kind of reminds me visually of Vicar Amelia too. Like if you squint, they're sort of in similar shapes during their fight. Her armor, I wore it basically all game, even though it gives you a big dump truck ass.
I love the dump truck ass.
And I like the veil. Yeah, everything about it to me, I agree. S tier boss.
Yes.
I want more Dancers of the Boreal Valley when I'm playing my Dark Souls games. This is a knight, so it's right in FromSoft's wheelhouse, but there's emotionality to the fight. You see so much about the character just from how it moves, what its title is. The game teaches you about the Boreal Valley and what that means to be from there, and then the fact that she's like still with it. I like I said, it just, I like clever shit.
Yeah.
And this feels so clever to me in a way that like a very basic fight like a Crystal Sage, like,
right,
you know, that's not teaching you much about it when you fight it. Abyss Watchers, there's a lot of story in there. Aldrich, there's a really cool visual element that he's swallowing got. Dancer of the Boreal Valley, there's something there to it. S.
yes.
S.
S.
Oh, fuck.
It's the Deacons of the Deep.
It's the Deacons of the Deep. Now, these guys, and I mean guys, because there's probably 100 of these guys, all live in a big room with a big empty sarcophagus at the back of the church.
Right.
And when you roll up, a couple of them just come out of the they like melt up through the floor, right?
I think so, yeah. They like summon into the battlefield.
And there's big ones, there's skinny ones, they've got candelabras, and they like throw fire at you.
Yeah, pretty simple.
And then you have to find the one who's like a little more popey than the rest of them.
Like glowing red, yeah.
And then you have to hit that one, and then the boss health bar will go down. And that's the fight. Yep. You just find the needle in the haystack, the pope in the pope stack, and that's it. That's the whole fight.
Yep.
So gameplay wise, that's honestly teetering between a C and a D for me.
Yeah.
But aesthetics, I know you love, not like the Pope, but like
I don't love the Pope.
You don't?
Yeah.
A Pope?
Yeah, like aesthetically, I think evil
churchy stuff.
Evil church is fun, yeah.
And then you love the Deep.
I love the Cathedral of the Deep, yes.
You're like an Aldrich
Stan? Yeah.
Kind of.
Like, he's not like my favorite in the game, but
he's an A for you.
Yeah. I'd deacon for him.
You would be one of
Yeah, like why not?
Well, you get the opportunity later in the game.
Yeah, he's one of his
You can collect, is it ears? Tongues? You collect some body part for him.
Yeah, and then you can give it to that weird man in the void basement.
There's a mummy in the wet basement.
Yeah, like he's one of the clubs you can join in the game for invaders.
Dark Souls really, out of context, it actually sounds kind of weird and funny.
To like join a bad guy club, and
you take a ladder. There's a false wall
into the most pointless foundation void.
It's like in I don't know the architectural term, but it's like a buttress, like it's a big support beam for the cathedral.
Right.
And you're inside that. You find a false wall. You take a long ladder down into a wet basement full of 2 evil dogs. Or is it just the one evil dog?
I think there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
The void basement is so big it can fit 2 of those bad guys in there.
And then in the corner, there's just like a giant mummy deacon.
Yeah.
And talking to it lets you join his murder club.
Right. I think I did give him ears or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't invade too much in that game though, so I don't think I used that mechanic too much. But yeah, emotionally, I was a deacon for Aldrich.
So does that bump it higher up to you?
I'd put it in C. It wasn't a difficult fight, so I wasn't like, oh, I'm so glad it's over. But it didn't change my life at all. Also, the fact that, fun fact, that those guys supposedly were placeholders. Aldrich was originally supposed to be in the Cathedral of the Deep.
Would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and Pontiff Sulyvahn was allegedly the final fight of the game, and he was supposed to be in Aldrich's boss fight room, and everything kind of got mixed around last minute. There's a few pretty good YouTube videos that describe the original layout of the game. I think they've pieced it together based on like old trailers and stuff like that. So I think one of the reasons why the Deacons kind of feel like a throwaway fight is because they are a placeholder.
You think it's a little filler?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pontiff Sulyvahn, I mean, we already talked about Aldrich, but Pontiff Sulyvahn, there's also a lot of lore about him in the game. He's another one of those like big villains, and the Ashes of Ariandel DLC actually gives you a lot of context to his character. So it is kind of odd that he's just a mid-area boss leading up to Aldrich. So that is interesting. I mean, Deacons of the Deep, I think ultimately they belong in C.
Yeah. I think like putting them next to the Ancient Wyvern where it's not really a fight is kind of not fair.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so C for Deacons. The Old Demon King.
This fight was cool.
Pick your crown up, King. You're an old demon. Oh, you liked that.
Yeah, it was funny.
You're so supportive of me, even when I'm saying kind of unfunny nonsense.
It was a little silly.
Well,
yeah.
You know who's a little silly?
The Old Demon King?
No, not the Old Demon King.
Oh.
He's sad.
Yeah, he's really sad.
I don't know who's a little silly. I know who's not silly at all.
Him.
It's the Old Demon King.
Oh, okay.
You get into... So, finding him in the first place, it's a cool adventure.
Yeah, he's in the lava pit surrounded by big worms.
Yeah, you're in like a cavern. It's at the end of the Caverns of Karthus, is it not?
I believe so.
And you're crossing a bridge, and you can break the bridge, and then you climb down the broken bridge, and there's a path that leads down to the old lake, the old smoldering lake.
Right.
And there's a giant electric sandworm down there.
I do like those things. They're cool.
And in the back of that area, there's the Old Demon King in his boss arena full of corpses of Dark Souls 1 demons. There's Capra demons, Taurus demons. I don't remember if there are other kinds of demons, but they're dead demons.
So sad.
1 million dead demons. And he's the last one.
So sad.
And it's so sad because he's like, all he wants to do is be on fire and I guess kill things.
Yeah.
But he's turning to stone because his fire is fading.
It's kind of, you know,
representative
of what's happening in the game. The fire's going out. The world is dying. We're ushering in the age of the deep sea.
Are we?
Well, that's what Aldrich says is coming next.
Yeah. Hey, wow, good call.
Thank you.
We're also the ashen one, and you know how you get ash?
But no fire.
No more fire.
No more
after
fire.
the fire.
Yeah, so I think he's just kind of, you know, an indication that the world is changing, even though stagnation is another.
It's dying.
Everything's
dying.
Yeah. You can't
it's
stagnate. Things will die anyway. So saith I.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, because that's like the conundrum, right? Do you light the fire? Do you let it go out?
Yeah, lighting the fire, it prolongs things, but it drags them along.
Yeah.
So even though it gives them vitality in the form of life, it's an undead life.
It's stagnation.
But then letting the fire go out, it just becomes an age of darkness. But
life finds a way.
But I guess the original Dark Souls trailer was like, everything was stagnant and still, and then there was like an original spark, and then became the disparity of heat and cold, and
Yeah, so you gotta let something new happen.
let the universe die. And the painted worlds are kind of a microcosm of that.
Ah, sweet bed of rot.
This old Demon King, look at how he's got us going off.
Yeah.
And this is a very simple fight. There's no real phase changes. It's just kind of a more advanced looking, heavy-bottomed demon design. I like his antlers.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
But the story of him is very, I don't know, it just makes you think and feel. So
yeah.
while I don't think this is the best boss fight by any stretch, it's not particularly difficult. It's not particularly cinematic. I do like what it represents and what it makes you feel.
Yeah. It's another, like, emo boss fight.
Yeah. Demons are a bad thing. We don't like demons because they're bad. But we still feel sad that there's only one left.
Yeah.
And he's old.
So, high B?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Just because...
Just for emotional impact alone.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have the Demon Prince.
Ooh.
Now this is 3 bosses, 2 bosses, 1 boss. Hard to say. So you fall down a big hole. And this is in the DLC, by the way.
Right.
You fall down a big hole. There's 2 demons in the hole. Demon in pain, demon from below. They start crawling at you. You have to fight 2 big bat demons that are slashing you and blowing gas and
very
fire
aggressive
at you.
Fight, yeah.
And I'm on record as saying I don't think these games are that fun when you're fighting 2 things at once. But this is no exception to that. I don't like the first part of this fight. You have to beat them down. You have to kill both of them.
Yeah.
And then the one that dies second just catches fire, grows a giant pair of wings, and then becomes the Demon Prince. So that is kind of a fun reveal. And if you're like me, it takes you quite a while to even kill the original 2.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it pops up, has another health bar, and has an even more aggressive move set after the fact.
And it can fly.
They fly now. That's really tough.
Yeah, I do kind of remember being angry when that thing stood back up. Because sometimes I think when there's a second health bar fake out, you're like, oh, that's really cool. But I think this was one of those instances where I was like, God damn it.
Like, I'm so tired.
No,
Let me die.
No, not again.
But design-wise, I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Especially the second phase with the giant wings.
Yeah, they're really big.
It is almost more dragon-like than demon-like in a lot of ways. The way it kind of flies up and
very
breathes fire.
Gargoyle-y.
Yeah, very gargoyle-y.
Gargoyle-y.
It's sort of gargoylesque.
And where would you put that gargoylesque in?
This gargoylesque Demon Prince, for me, while it is a tough fight, which I like, it's not tough in the ways that I like. And its design is very visually cool, but it's also like, would I want a tattoo of this thing? Probably not.
Yeah.
Lore-wise, I don't understand much about it. Like, the old Demon King, that's a fight with so much lore. Like, you can feel what's happening to him, his desperation, his status. Demon Prince is just like, it seems like two bad demons become one demon and fights you. And
it is kind of interesting. I haven't watched any lore videos on it, obviously, but I do know for a fact that the reason why Lorien's sword is stained with fire is because he supposedly slayed the demon prince. Now we see that the prince doesn't arise until you've killed 2 of these demons. So maybe lore-wise, he, like, it's not like a problem chronologically as to like why the prince is still alive, even though after Lorien supposedly slayed it. Maybe it just kind of resurrects in the bodies of some demons. You know, like maybe the flame that they share between them can be passed around almost.
Yeah, I mean, neither of the demons that you see when you roll up are the demon prince. It only gets that title once it fuses. So, also, I just pulled up the description of Lorien's greatsword just to see if we can get the textbook definition. And it says it's cast in smoldering molten steel and stained black. Before he embraced his brother's curse, he was a knight who single-handedly slayed the demon prince.
Yeah. But
the victory eternally scorched his sword with flame. So yeah, he slayed the demon prince. So not sure where. I mean, it's Dark Souls. It could be time fuckery. It could just be like a translation issue. It could be there's multiple demon princes. I mean, there's multiple princes in dynastic families,
it's
right?
True. Yeah, but I think it's kind of cool to think of the flame being kind of inherited between the demons almost.
And eternal.
Yes.
Well, there's a eternal profane flame in this game as well.
Interesting.
It is interesting. It really makes you think, but I'm done thinking about the demon prince.
It's not that interesting. Put it in B.
I think B. I think its difficulty maybe secures it as like a little more memorable.
Okay.
But the design of the fight, it's not going to get higher than that. I mean, actually, shoot.
I actually think the old Demon King is a cooler fight.
Yeah.
It's more memorable.
Would you think it's cooler than the Gundyrs, though?
Yeah. I think because those are the tutorial bosses, they shouldn't get too much clout.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a logic to that I can agree with.
Cool. Dragonslayer
Armour. Oh, the Dragonslayer Armour.
No.
Not that?
That's not like a groan of excitement. That is a groan of misery.
That's what I sound like when I'm miserable.
Oh.
I can't believe this is happening.
That.
Okay.
I hate this fight.
The Dragonslayer Armour?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know this about me, but there are two things that I hate in From Software enemy design.
Uh-oh.
And it's a guy on a horse.
Uh-oh.
And a guy with a huge shield.
Well, this guy doesn't have a horse.
No, but he does have a huge shield.
And you keep saying the word huge and then following it up with shield like it's some kind of joke that you're making.
It wasn't intended to be that way. I was just trying to make it sound funnier than it was. So I don't like this thing. Some could argue the fact that it's an empty suit of armor being puppeted by a pilgrim butterfly is cool. For me, that just means I'm fighting an empty suit of armor, and he's stopping me from getting to one of the coolest fights in the game.
There's not even like a hot guy or girl in there.
No, there's like not even like a hot person in there. So I'm not even having a moment with a knight. It's just kind of like an empty suit of armor that's in my way. Get out of my way.
Just an evil bug saw you and decided to just like none of the other pilgrim butterflies like have beef. Why does that one just stop to say, hey, fuck you in particular?
Yeah, no, none shall pass.
No, that one pilgrim butterfly can kind of fuck up. Like what is its deal?
I don't know, but I don't like this fight. So for me,
wait.
What?
But have you considered that its armor is an homage to Dragonslayer Ornstein?
Well, that's a cool fact, but I played these games in reverse chronological order, so when I saw that thing, I was like, wow, that sure is a big suit of armor that looks like a lot of other suit of armors. I don't care.
I like that you pluralized armors instead of suits.
Let me out of here.
Okay, it sounds like you're angling for it to be a C.
Yeah, I am. That's my campaign.
And you mentioned that someone could argue that it's cool that it's being puppeted by a pilgrim butterfly, and I would make that argument, but I think the argument goes unspoken. If you're out there and you think it's cool that the pilgrim butterfly, like, I see you. We are aligned.
It's objectively cool.
But let's be real. You're my wife. And I fucking love you, dude.
I love you too, dude.
And I want you to feel better than this drag. I'm not going to side with this Dragonslayer armor.
Thank you.
I'm going to hear you and honor you in here,
Uh-huh.
which is my heart I'm pointing at. And I'm going to honor you here, and I'm pointing at the screen of the computer as I move this.
He's my champion Gravetender. That is my least favorite fight in the game, and I think maybe because I kind of get senioritis with it, where I'm like, I'm so close to Lothric and Lorien. You're telling me I have to fight one more boss before I get to the coolest shit in the game.
Well, you actually have to fight a Crystal Sage right after this, because you go into the library.
But the library's cool.
It is kind of cool.
The Dragonslayer armor is on a bridge, and you can fall off the bridge, which is another
Remember the
tally against it.
The guys who dip their head in wax in the library?
Oh, that was really cool.
That's cool.
That was really cool.
That's cool.
I would do that IRL.
I would do that. I bet it feels so good.
I bet it really hurts for about 25 seconds.
Oh, because of the hot wax.
Because of the hot wax. And then, afterwards, it would be, impossible to breathe unless you would,
Don't they do that when you're getting, a pedicure? Won't they put, hot wax on your foot?
Yeah, and it hurts for, a little, for, a
But
split
imagine
second.
your whole head and shoulders.
Yeah, that would really hurt.
And then you can put a little candle on top of your head and walk around and cast spell. I'm getting off topic. I'm getting off track. And, the track's a good place to be on right now because the track is leading us directly to the S rank fight to beat all S ranks. If there was an SSS tier, I'm not doing 2 S's, 3 S's. There's a triple S tier, triple X, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L.
The whole alphabet.
Whole alphabet. Sister Friede deserves it all.
It's true.
Sister Friede is miles and miles away the best fight that has ever been put in these games. And this is obviously an opinion. You can't objectively state what's the best or not. But hear me out.
Okay.
This is the best fight. Lore. Gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
Design. All 3 of those factors that we've been assessing, she just checks all the boxes.
She's so cool.
She is the coolest.
I was really looking forward to this fight. The introduction cutscene is so fucking cool. And the way that, Father Ariandel, smashes his big cauldron around and screams during his, the second phase.
Well, let's call it out. This is a 3-phase fight.
It's a 3-phase fight.
Now, I can count on one hand the number of 3-phase fights, and it might just be because the number is 1 or close to 1.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of 3-phasers.
They should.
Even other DLC bosses, Orphan of Cause is a 2-phaser. I shouldn't have started a list without having a strong idea of what. Radon.
Radon and Mikla, that
2-phase.
would have been the perfect
cool place for a
chance for a 3-phase fight. I don't know why they did it.
You beat Radon, and then it's just
do it?
Mikla or something.
Or
Okay.
Anything
I don't
like
want to
that.
talk about things I don't like. I want to talk about things I love.
Sister Friede. I'd get this tattooed on my back.
I
the
would.
whole fight, frame by frame.
That's a lot of frames.
Yeah, man. That's how cool it is. I love this fight.
So, the fact that it's 3 phases, and every single phase is distinct and extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So I remember even getting to phase 2 was a huge challenge because she's got all kinds of tricksy tricks in phase 1. She's turning invisible. She's jumping around.
I love being able to see where she is by following the little snow particle effects on the floor.
Yeah, you get to phase 2, everything's on fire. Ariandel's blood catches a light. He's just dragging his big bird ass around.
The way he yells and screams, it's so violent and cool.
And then phase 2, really hard. And the only way to practice phase 2 is to beat phase 1. So already to get to phase 2, you're it is not easy. None of it's easy. None of it's a given. You finally beat phase 2. Sister Friede's laying dead on the ground. Ariandel's slumped over.
I think this is a good example of how to do a fight with 2 enemies. Where the Demon Prince kind of felt kind of redundant because they kind of had the same movesets. But this, you would have the big enemy. It was kind of easier to keep track of Ariandel, and he had his broad AoEs that you would have to watch out for, and he would cross the battlefield really quickly, and then you would have to always kind of keep an eye on Sister Friede because she was fast and smaller, and it was like really cool learning how to balance the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, it felt...
That is a great point. It never felt like a copy-paste boss fight where it's like, here's two enemies with the same AI. Yeah. Arendel's doing his big line attacks. He's charging through it. And Friede's, you know, you're still having your duel with her, basically. You never lose that feeling. I mean, sure, you have to use your camera a little more and be more aware of your surroundings. But yeah, that is a great point.
Thank you.
Which leads me into, it's still very difficult. You finally beat her. She's lying dead on the ground. And then I think you like hear her voice or you hear his voice. Someone basically is like, arise. Yeah. And then black flame starts crackling. And she gets up and it's just, and her moveset in phase 3 is so intense. She's got combos.
Yeah. Oh, her combos, man.
She's got reach because she can attack you with ice or fire.
She punishes you for healing.
And also, just gonna call out, I mean, I guess we can talk about her lore. We'll talk about her lore in a second. But gameplay wise, so friggin' difficult. And I've told you the story. I think it's a very funny thing that happened to me. My first time I actually beat Sister Friede, I had been doing it I was probably on day 3 of attempting. Not that I was like staying home and doing like 8 hours of gaming, but I would like come home after work, after dinner, and put like an hour or 2 into it.
Play until you were sick and then stop.
And I was doing the thing where I would like go to sleep and have dreams about fighting it, and like my subconscious was practicing. But I could not beat phase 3. And I would try mixing up my armor, mixing up my rings, giving myself more like, well, maybe I need more fire resistance, maybe I need more ice, or maybe I need more physical. And eventually I got to the point where I was so beaten by the fight that I just took all my armor off. I still had rings to do damage and have more stamina and everything, but no armor. I just went in a pruny little hollow and I locked in. The final fight happened. I wasn't thinking. I was just in that flow state you get into when you're in like a really intense FromSoft fight where you're just like, roll, dodge, roll, hit, dodge. Like you're tranced out, and I fucking did it. And it is so funny because in these games, the story of the games is that you can die over and over again, but you keep coming back. And that is the curse of undeath, and it's why the world is populated by a bunch of wrinkly undead, because they've just been dying and doing their jobs so long that they've lost their minds and have become like the ones who are most wretched have just like discarded all their clothing and are just, and that's literally what happened to the human
You're the
me.
hollow. That's you.
I hollowed out.
Damn.
And I did it.
That's really cool. Yeah.
So that was very memorable for me.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it took for me to beat her. I think I was just kind of like popping embers just to give myself a little bit more HP. But yeah, ultimately, I think it just kind of came down to...
You just have to get good.
Yeah, I just got good because there was no strategy involved, you know? It was just learning how to dodge and when to block and when to get your hits in, when to run, when to fold them, when to hold them,
etc. Yes,
etc.
So, yeah, gameplay wise, peak.
Best.
Visual, I mean, you love a nun look.
A nun, yeah.
I think she's just super cool. Her room, when you come in, like she has the deepest voiced knight that's like sworn to her.
No bell tolls.
Her entire room is just full of portraits of her.
Yeah.
She's got kind of like a burnt face underneath her hood that she's not showing you. And then she's also the sister of Yuria of Londor. And like the dark girls of Londor are some of my favorite characters in Dark Souls 3. I mean, you know me. You know I love an evil professional.
You love an evil girl
woman.
Boss, gaslight gatekeep girl boss. Yeah.
And she's that. She's peak that. She's a capable, powerful cutie pie who has a scythe and wields black flame and can't be killed and has the most extremely difficult 3-tiered visual spectacle fight.
So cool.
After this like really beautiful snowy DLC that you've been fighting through.
I loved the DLC.
I could not be happier. When we talked about Dance to the Boreal Valley, we were like, we want every boss fight to be a Dance to the Boreal Valley. Sister Friede, I don't want them to try to make every boss a Sister Friede because they couldn't. No. They couldn't possibly do it. She is so special. She is this like perfect thing that they delivered that catered 100% to my taste, both aesthetically and as a capital G gamer.
Right.
So S plus.
Yeah. Put her in
S prime.
Yep. I don't have to say anything because you covered everything.
I got very excited.
You did.
You can say like one more thing.
She's really hot. I don't know what to say, man. She's gender. She's cute.
She is.
She's got a good outfit. I love the fact that she's like.
Say one thing. She's hot.
She's hot. She's got.
You're right.
Ariandel's flail that she brings him every day, which is a real
flail. Bring me my flail.
Like I love their weird dynamic. The two of them are just huge freaks, obsessed with them. Yeah. Wish everything could be like them, but also we should
cosplay as them sometime.
Oh, you'd be Sister Friede and I'm Ariandel.
Okay, well that's a funny thing.
This is a silly answer, yeah, but like it would be really funny.
I'll sit in my chair.
You'd look really cool in a big crow cloak.
Yeah,
looking all sallow and
I'd have to like
hungry.
Probably start drinking a lot of milk if I want to be 12 feet tall.
That bit. He's bigger than 12 feet. Well, that's like a 17 footer.
Jeez, you think he's like 2 stories tall? How tall's the church?
Well, I know. Okay, this is stupid.
All right,
I know Doflamingo from One Piece is 15 feet tall, and that guy looks taller than Doflamingo.
You're name dropping fucking Doflamingo.
I couldn't name a taller man.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, for sure. Love you, Sister Friede.
Whew, I'm winded.
Yeah,
that took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
Let's have a nice come down and talk about the Curse Rod of Greatwood.
That's a cool fight, and I liked fighting the big tree.
Mm-hmm. It's sitting there and it's sort of like
I don't like hitting it in its gonads.
It's sitting in like a kind of a birthing pose,
and you gotta hit its gonads.
Yeah, it's gonads. Who taught you that word?
That funny anglerfish video.
Okay. I knew that didn't just come out of nowhere. Yeah, it's a tree that's absorbed so many curses that it became a guy that crawls around.
Yeah.
I love that there's an arm in there.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think visually it's cool. It doesn't 100% work for me, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, it's not a very agile fight. It's not very difficult. I think the only thing that makes it cool is the fact that it is a big tree. I like big tree fights usually, just like aesthetically.
I mean, even design-wise, there's something about it that I just doesn't quite go over the line for me of like really cool.
It doesn't have a very tasteful silhouette, maybe.
I guess. Yeah, it's just a big round body with the tree on top, basically. I do like that you fall through the floor at a certain point fighting it. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of fun.
But yeah, it doesn't matter that much to the game. You know, it could have been taken out and not much would have changed. I'd say it's like the lowest B possible, you know?
That's where I was thinking as well. It's not so bad or forgettable or generic that it's a C, but I couldn't say that it's more interesting than Gundyr, so no. I'll put it at a low B. All right, here's a rather strange fight. This is Halflight Spear of the Church.
She's in the Ring City DLC, correct?
Yeah, so when you're playing through this fight, you might be more Okay, that word got away from me. You might remember more clearly the giant, like the giant.
Right.
And Halflight is almost like a summon that the giant uses when you're fighting it.
Right.
Like you enter the church and there's a big giant, and then you fight Halflight as well. So none of them are really bosses in this game, except Halflight, but there's a lot of NPC invaders in the Soul series. And Halflight is basically just an NPC invader.
Yeah.
It's a character model. It has the same moveset as you. It just has a slightly different attack pattern.
I'd probably put it in C. I don't think it's anything crazy.
No, it's not a fight I'd really have an interest in doing again.
I'm actually surprised it's here.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to put it maybe... It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that it has lightning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a middle C.
Now this thing.
Who? Darkeater Midir?
It hits like 5 trucks.
We're still doing that? We're still doing the number of trucks thing? I thought we were leaving that behind in Elden Ring.
How would you rate the way it hits?
Probably like, I don't know, 5 boats.
Boats don't go very fast.
Okay.
Depending on what boat we're talking about. Not a speedboat.
Oh, not it. Okay, so I'm just excluding a speedboat. Okay. Darkeater Midir. Dragon. Check.
Yeah.
Abyss themed.
Cool.
Check. Really difficult. Check. Also very hard to find.
Yeah.
You can almost miss it completely.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually ever beat this thing. So the first time I played the Ring DLC, I only played the Ring DLC once. And I beat it without realizing that he was in the abyss. Like, I confronted him a few times, but I never found my way down to him. And then when you and I were playing the DLC together, we actually stopped before we beat him.
Is that right?
Yeah, we literally ran out of summoning items and couldn't farm more humanity or something to get them.
Weird.
And so we stopped because we like literally hit a wall with this thing. And so now it just kind of lives on in my memory as like this impossible wall of a boss that I've never actually beaten.
Wow. Well, are you allowed to rank it?
I mean, I fought it and hats off to it. I think it's like an insane fight. I only encountered it that one time and was never able to beat it.
So does an unbeatable boss fight, where does that put it?
I don't know. I've beat every other From Software fight ever, so I don't even know where to put this thing.
Boy, so I guess it falls onto me then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, gameplay was the first time I played through the DLC, I completely missed it. I had to look it up. So whenever I play through these games the first time, I go in blind and just see where fate. Yeah. And then as soon as the game is over, I crack it open like a bone and I suck all the marrow out and I look at every single wiki page and just soak in all of the information that I possibly can and plan my next run methodically. And part of that was, I missed a boss.
Yeah.
So I went Darkeater Midir was the boss that I had missed. I went and found him. Very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. Beat it one time.
Did you feel changed by it?
And then never again because it was so hard. I would say, almost out of respect, I think it deserves like an A-.
Yeah.
Just because it's not necessarily the most fun boss, but if you beat it, it's kind of like a special thing. It's like extra credit to have beaten it.
I wouldn't know what that's like.
I know, but
it does make me want to go back and play the game again.
Boot up your PS4.
Yeah. I mean, I might, because now I feel embarrassed that this is like the one boss that got away from me. Because I did all the hidden stuff in Sekiro, like I'm always on the lookout for.
Yeah, you beat Owl Father.
Yeah, which was pretty crazy cool fight. But regardless, yeah, this fight, I remember trying to fight it with you and
just get one shot,
and then like anytime we would hit it, it would just be the smallest little tick of health and you were like, oh, so I'm not even like doing any damage to this thing. Like, I could just feel that I didn't have the stamina to keep up with it, you know? So, yeah.
A- for Darkeater Midir for being so hard that my wife hasn't even beaten it.
Womp womp.
But hey, you're still a good person.
Thank you.
And you're still a good gamer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, all right. There's something wrong with the next one.
Oh, he doesn't have a name?
What the hell? How am I supposed to... Wait, what? Okay, so we have a Nameless King. That's weird. Oh, you know what?
What?
I think this is the Nameless King. That one boss fight where he rides around on a dragon and then he stabs the dragon and the dragon turns into lightning and he fights you in the clouds.
Yeah, so visually, I think this fight is really iconic, but I hate this fight simply because it's really hard to orient yourself in a cloud-filled void where you're trying to find something that's airborne in the void and does like sweeping attacks and breath attacks. The camera's doing all kinds of tricks. Hitboxes are a little funny. Technically, this fight was a nightmare for me. I hated this fight.
Whoa.
And how it was like created.
I'm shaking.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that opinion, but fighting in a void is already a problem.
I'm kind of sad.
What? I gave him props visually. I thought it was really cool. I like that he stabs his little, his little dragon when he has like a pity kind of kill because it's like suffering. He puts it out of its misery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's,
So I'll defend him for a second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just because I think the fight's fun. I didn't have that much trouble with the camera. It was challenging. I do remember getting my little butt kicked up and down Dragon Street, but I liked the design. I thought it was really cool seeing, quote, the Nameless King come in up after ringing the bell and the storm clouds come in.
That was fun.
Like, the spectacle is amazing. And the second phase, when he's absorbed the dragon into the spear, is so challenging. And this is one of the fights where I felt really good beating it. I think it isn't my favorite. I think the difficulty, it's weird. Some of these I rate really high because they're difficult, and some of them I feel like the difficulty detracts from them.
Yeah.
It's not an exact science. But I would put him as like a B+.
Yeah, I put him in B. I think visually he's really cool. But again, I don't like the camera, the void, the clouds. It's really hard to orient yourself. It's a very disorienting fight. And it knocks it down to a B.
Disorienting for you.
It would be, for me.
Yeah.
These are my opinions.
Okay.
This is my half of my tier maker.
Our tier maker, which we share in
50-50.
in blissful matrimony.
Yeah, so that's why I think this thing should go in B.
B?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm actually looking forward to. I'm probably not gonna buy Night Rain day one.
Elden Ring Night Rain.
But the fact that this boss has already been confirmed to guest star in that game.
Children of the future, know that this video was recorded before the release of 2025's Elden Ring Night Rain.
It might be interesting to see how that fight plays out mechanically.
Children
on
of the
solid
future.
ground.
Wait, can I do my children?
Keep going,
Children of the future. We hope that you are experiencing a world of plenty and peace, for ours is mired in strife and war.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just trying to send a message into the future.
It was cute.
I love the people of the future.
Yeah, you're looking out for them.
Well, they're probably going to have enough problems, what with the, the stuff.
What?
The bad things.
What?
the various bad things that will continue on from the present into the future.
Yeah.
All right.
Suppose.
All right. Enough of this. Nameless King, B+.
Yeah.
Next up, we have... okay, I'm not doing a bit. I have a hard time pronouncing this. Oceiros, the Consumed King.
My little ocelot.
That was Sarah who did that.
If you couldn't tell.
I would probably do it like, my little ocelot.
Not so easy, is it?
My little... You ignorant slaves.
Ignorant slaves.
You finally noticed me down here in my swamp that I wasn't originally placed in.
Yeah, Colin and I looked up all of the places where the bosses were supposed to be in. He wasn't supposed to be here.
Also, he's carrying an invisible baby, and it has the effect of, when you're playing it, being like, oh, is this guy just a little cuckoo because he thinks he's holding a baby?
Mm-hmm.
But they actually did have a baby modeled, and a squished baby modeled for when he squishes the baby. And it was probably so gruesome that they were just like, let's just make it invisible.
I can't imagine why they thought that would ever get approved by EIC.
Yeah, I don't know what their standards and practices are, but it was a little yucky. I mean, you can see...
It's really cool to see the model for it.
You can find it on the website youtube.com.
Yeah, a lot of data miners have found it. But yeah, I like this fight.
He's one of those characters. He's a little less horny in his design than
a little
Priscilla from Dark Souls 1.
Right, because he's a guy king. Because he's like a guy.
He's a half dragon.
Who's a guy.
Or he wants to become a dragon.
But he's a guy, so he's not hot about it.
Oh, you're saying like it's the Dark Souls thing of women are beautiful and guys are yucky monsters. Or can be.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
But if they were like, it's a half dragon man, it's going to be a dragon that has man qualities instead of a hot anime girl with dragon qualities.
Yeah. I like that phase 1, he's still kind of king-like and a little more human, and then phase 2, he gets like the traditional dragon moveset where he's really cool. Charging at you and flying. And I like that he's sort of based on Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls 1.
And this guy, he's been trying to experiment, like merging dragon into his bloodline. And one of the reasons why Lothric is so sickly is because he was one of his dad's experimentations.
He's a bad dad.
Yeah, bad dad.
And if there was a tier just for bad dads, he would be on it.
Yeah, but he's not.
I think, as far as bosses go, he's like a low B to me.
Yeah.
Where he's like a semi-memorable fight, but not the most memorable. Mm-hmm. Certainly not iconic.
No. The baby would have made him iconic, though.
I don't know. That's so yucky. I don't like seeing babies get squished.
Yeah.
I like there's an air of mystery about him. I think him being placed in like the wrong spot in the game also contributes to his mystery, because you're like, oh, why is he just down in the dregs in the garden? Shouldn't there be like a champion Gundyr down here or something? You know, the pus of man boss to go with the pus of man enemies, but B-.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Cool.
Pontiff Sulyvahn.
I wish this guy were a little cooler. But I acknowledge his swagger and his evil energy. And this guy's built up in the story to be this scheming little orphan boy from the painted world who rose through the ranks and seduced people to his cause and betrayed them at every step in order to increase his own power. He lives in a frozen city. He came from a frozen painting. He wields fire and darkness, which are the two twin endings of each game in the Dark Souls series. His fight's pretty clever. He's a sword wizard. Mm-hmm. I love and respect everything about it. I just wish there was a little more to it. And maybe I'll talk about that, but I want to give you a chance to talk about Sulyvahn.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you just said. I think I'm kind of getting the vibe that you're going to put him lower than where I would put him. Yeah, I really like the fight. I think the boss arena is really fun and moody. I love Iudex of the Boreal Valley, so like every other area that I like, the bosses within kind of get a bump up simply out of, vibes alone. I really like this fight. I would probably put it in an A just because I think it's iconic and influential. I do agree that there is a lot missing from this fight, and I would kind of chalk that up to, Dragon Age, Dark Souls 3 Alpha, where he was allegedly the main antagonist of the game, and everything kind of got shuffled around, and I think he is kind of the victim of all of that, the biggest victim. And that's probably why you think the fight's empty,
Well, the fight itself is fine. I mean, it's a cool fight. He summons clones. He has the 2 twin weapons. He's all swagged out when you reach him.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what it's missing is dialogue.
Yep.
Taunting. I mean, this guy... Okay, so when you roll up to Aldrich and he's just a slug that doesn't say anything to you, okay. I am disappointed, but I forgive it because slugs can't talk. I mean, maybe he could talk to us through Gwendolyn, but he doesn't. There's certain bosses that don't say anything to you, and it's like, fine. But Pontiff Sulyvahn is a charismatic cult leader who I don't believe has gone hollow or has lost a step. I mean, in theory, he should still be on his ascent to power. And the fact that he just starts walking towards you and you just beat him, and then that's that. There's no gloating. There's nothing. And I don't know. I feel maybe sometimes I hold these bosses to a standard of what I wish it were, which isn't totally fair to them. I just have to meet them on the grounds that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you were right to think that I might probably put him lower than you. I think it's probably a B+ fight, but I'm willing to admit that it's just such a cool character, even without being fleshed out the way that I want him to be, that he could reach up to the A's.
You would do that for me? You
would
put Pontiff Sulyvahn in an A?
I'd do anything for you.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, A's looking kind of empty, and I think he's just as cool as the Abyss Watchers, who also don't say anything.
That's true. But there's more cutscene action happening in the Abyss Watchers fight.
That's true.
But here's what I would do. Because I've been thinking about this as we've been recording.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think the Abyss Watchers are cool and like Darkeater Midir is cool, I think at the very end when we revisit things, we might end up bumping them down to B. Potentially. So let's just keep everything where it is for now.
Okay.
And then let's talk about a fight that I think is quite easily an A and potentially an S. It is the last fight in all of the Souls games in the Souls trilogy. It's the Slave Knight Gael, who you meet at the end of the world munching on pygmy.
Yucky.
I really like this guy's design. I've liked him since he first showed up.
And
you're pointing at me with a smile.
And now that I've shown you Berserk, you understand that he is a walking, mumbling Guts reference. From the crossbow to the big sword, his movesets. He's actually like a huge love letter to Guts from Berserk.
Would that make Pontiff Sulyvahn the Griffith?
I don't think he's a reference to Berserk. I just think it's Slave Knight Gael.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be really stoic and say that doesn't change my opinion about the character, but I do see it now with the crossbow, the big sword. I mean, I think this guy has some of the cool, like you show up, you get a little cutscene. He's, as I said before, munching on pygmy. He says, hand over your dark soul. Iconic, hilarious, 10 out of 10 writing. he then the fight starts. You see his health bar, but you're just like standing in the sand dunes, and you're like, huh? And then he just gallops over the horizon like a damn dog, and you just start a fight, and he is throwing shit at you.
He's aggressive.
His cloak has become full of evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
He's very aggressive, and the more you fight him, the more dangerous he gets. The weather gets crazy. Really difficult fight.
Love this fight.
It is very much a satisfying end to the series. It's no Radon and Mikola. This is like a character who in some ways is parallel to you.
Mm-hmm.
He's been going on his own adventure for the Dark Soul. He's gone to the painting. He's traveled everywhere. He even leaves you little hints in the Ringed City on how to get down to where he eventually is found. And it's just a fun ass fight and difficult and cool. And yeah, he's I don't know what else to say. I mean, to me, that is A, and if he was a little more handsome, I would even put him at S. But I think he could totally sit at the S tier.
Yeah, I feel like sex appeal aside, I feel like it's, or lack of sex appeal aside, I'd probably still put the fight in S just because it was such a cool fight. I felt really accomplished after beating him. I thought, you know, all of the lore surrounding him was really cool. I liked the fact that he was a through-line character between the two DLCs, and it all kind of culminates in this, like, super fast-paced, feral, you know, kind of, and I really liked this fight. I'd put it in S.
Yeah, it's so moody.
Yeah, and it's
interesting.
It's iconic, you know. It's a really cool fight.
Yeah. When I think of Dark Souls, I think of Slave Knight Gael.
Yeah.
The only thing that might bump it down, which it's not going to, he's going up to S, is the fact that I don't really want to replay the fight that much.
Oh, it's a bitch and a half.
Well, whoa, language, mister. The, just where Sister Friede was La Danse, Slave Knight Gael was one of the fights. There's been a couple fights like this in these games that are really tough, but I feel like when I won, it wasn't necessarily because I had perfectly memorized it and gotten it down. I do feel like I probably got a little lucky.
Right.
And I had drank as much health potion as I could through the whole time. I never felt like I got to that savant level with the fight.
I see.
And I don't know if I would have wanted to try, because it's just a grueling brawl of a fight. But, you know, as I say that actually makes it sound kind of cool and fitting as the last fight. So I think S.
Yeah.
The real question is, does it come before or after Dancer? After. Because
the dancer is just that cool.
The dancer is just that cool.
Stays there.
All right. Now we have... No, I know, because you've been bringing it up, the Dark Souls Alpha, where bosses are, and I know I've heard from you offline that this fight's disappointing to you because of that.
I actually thought it was a disappointing fight before I found out about Dark Souls 3 Alpha. Like, it being just a guy who's the same size as you.
He's bigger.
Slightly bigger than you, doing repeat mechanics to be like, oh, remember this? And you go, yeah. You know, like, not that it was bad. I'm just saying that as my first Dark Souls game, it was a disappointing fight to end the base game on. You know, because we had, like, the Twin Princes and the Dancer and, you know, Aldrich and Pontiff and the Abyss Watchers and the Nameless King and the Old Demon King and Champion. And I'm like, that, I think I beat him on my second attempt. It was so easy, and there was little to no flair. I'm never like, oh, I loved the Soul of Cinder. B.
So, okay, I hear you. I respect you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'd marry you again if I could.
Okay.
Okay, that's all you have to say.
Thank you.
That's more like it. So imagine. So I'll just say what you said, but I'll have a different energy to it.
Okay.
And just see how this fight. It's serving you all the different things that you've already seen. I thought so. We've already established I'm Mr. Vibes. I'm Mr. Lore.
Mm.
I really liked that it was really apparent from second one that this thing was the soul of every protagonist that's played through Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 and the million cycles between. And maybe it's the chronological versus reverse chronological playthrough thing. But I liked that he would switch up his builds and suddenly be a wizard or suddenly be a longsword. It was, to me, it was really cute that he had his Gwyn Lord of Cinder moveset.
Yeah.
And I really did visually dig the design of his crown, and I liked the eclipse setting where you fight him.
That was cool.
So, for all those reasons, I think the things that you didn't like about the fight, I actually do like about the fight. I like that it's a reference.
Yeah. It's nostalgia.
It was nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
But that said, you know, for a game like this, you do want your final bosses to be kind of punchy and cinematic. And I would say it definitely does not have the cinematic level that some bosses can have. I mean, even the Gurman Moon Presence run and Bloodborne has a lot of really cool moments that stick out and you remember. And Dark Souls 2, the Nashandra fight at the end of that game, it may not be like necessarily the best fight, but it was very memorable, and there was like another boss leading into it, and then if you beat her and you have the DLC, it's another, like, there's just things that happen. And with the Soul of Cinder, you just show up, you fight almost like a mimic tier style enemy with a cool design. So I think that puts it at, compromising with you here, high B plus.
I can't even put it at a low A if you'd like.
I'm not gonna go that far because while it is a very cool fight, like I said, it's just lacking the
cinematography,
the cinematographical essence, you know. And maybe this is something I keep coming to with this game. I'm finding, and I didn't realize that this was a barrier I had with it, but there's just so little connection you have with the bosses in this game.
Right.
And I'm always looking for ways to connect with the story emotionally through gameplay. You know, when you're fighting something like the Abyss Watchers, you get a really strong sense of what it is. Sister Friede is just oozing character.
Yeah.
Dancer of the Boreal Valley doesn't say a damn word, but you get a whole sense of what they're all about.
She's so cool.
And the Soul of Cinder is just kind of a force of nature in a way. And I mean, that's true with Pontiff Sulyvahn and even Darkeater Midir on some level, and the Gundyrs, and there's just things about this game that don't quite connect, and so I think Soul of Cinder can get a B plus for that.
Yeah.
I'll give it the highest B possible, but I'm not going to put it at A.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Oh my god, it's the Twin Princes. It's my favorite fight in the base game.
Yeah, so I know that this fight changed your life.
It changed my life.
I'm, you know what? I'm gonna step back. You just do your thing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just here to support you.
Thank you.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
You're glowing.
I am.
Folks, she's glowing right now. And
I love this fight.
She's so happy to talk about the Twin Princes.
It might not be very coherent, but I'm speaking from the heart.
Roll those eyes back, just go into like a flow state and talk about the Twin Princes.
Okay, so I actually first saw a YouTube video of this fight years before I played the game. So this was kind of like my intro into the series. I was like, Dark Souls 3 looks insane. I want to play this game someday. But I only had an Xbox One, and I think this game was a PlayStation 4 exclusive, so I couldn't play it, and just kind of admired it from afar. And so fast forward a few years, Colin got me the game. The entire time I was like, when are those guys going to show up? I knew nothing about them, but the fight looked super cool, and actually getting to play it was one of the most fun experiences that I've had with a boss, possibly because I watched that YouTube video so many times that I already knew all of their tricks. But I like let them kill me a few times because I was like, no, I'm too good at this. I already know what's gonna happen. I don't want it to be over yet. So I let them kill me, and just this fight felt like a dance to me. I loved, maybe for the first time, fighting two enemies at once. It was so much fun dodging Lothric's magic attacks and Lorien's, line AoEs with his fire sword, the teleporting, the music. It was just all so gorgeously crafted, and to this day it stands as one of my favorite From Software fights. And visually, I love a waif, Lothric's gender is hell, and then Lorien actually kind of inspired some of the vibe of one of my personal favorite D&D OCs that I made. So yeah, these two are just like, in different ways, very influential to my art at the time, and still are. And yeah, their boss fight room is beautiful with the high stained glass windows. I love Lothric's weird bunk bed thing that he's sleeping in. I love the fact that the guy's never taken off his baby rags. That's so cool. I love that about him. It's awesome. Love this fight.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think that something that I really enjoy about this fight is, I guess this is just my recurring thesis, but I like the build up to the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you start in Lothric Castle, you go off and do other stuff, you come back, it advances, so you're now in the upper castle, you're going through the library, the sky's red, the pilgrim butterflies are flowing, they're all flowing up to the top of the castle. These are also the last souls of Cinder that you need, I believe.
Yeah.
And everything is just leading you to this, of the prince who did not link the fire.
I love the lore.
Who was maybe corrupted by like an evil magister to
so cool,
to teach him, what not to do. I really enjoy how the characters are. I like that Lothric talks to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of like character there. He's
got like that sweet voice. He's basically telling you like what a folly your actions are. I like that Lorien is cursed and is still so protective of Lothric, and probably was cursed and broken by his protection to Lothric. I mean, yeah, I've said ooze very recently, but this just oozes character.
Yeah.
And visually, their designs, the silver hair, the crowns, the swaddling clothes that are black with a gold trim, the fire, the light. I mean, everything about them is super cool. So I fully agree with you, and I am happy to crown these as our second highest S rank.
Second highest S rank. Such a cool fight. I don't think I could name another FromSoft fight outside of arguably some of the Sekiro ones, because Sekiro has much more narrative-driven story, but these guys have so much lore. Like, those cutscenes alone tell you so much, and then all of their item descriptions, and then you find items in the library talking about Lothric's teacher and stuff, and you really get a sense of what Lothric's character motivations are. Like, he's your rival in the game. He refuses to link the flame because it's actually, in his eyes, like the wrong thing to do, and he refuses to take part in that act, and he just wants to live out his remaining days locked in this tower, and you bust in and kill him, and it's like, you feel bad about it. You know, he's not just like Yhorm, like a giant being like waiting to be put down by you. You know, like this is a character that has motivations, and he's telling you as such, and it's cool.
Yeah. S.
God, I love the Twin Princes. I'd play that thing every day if I could, but I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Mm-mm.
Don't have time.
Mm-mm.
Next, we have one of the first bosses of the game.
It's kind of a roly-poly dog.
Vordt of the Boreal Valley. I love the Boreal Valley Knights.
Yes.
I love his ice theme. I think it's a really fun boss where you're just learning how to roll and block and get your damage in. It's not too hard. It's not too easy. There's a real, you know, when you see a boss called of the Boreal Valley and they're super icy and you're in a place where there's no ice and you know that the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights, like it just, the world building implied by his existence right from, you know, that first encounter really flushes the game out, because suddenly there's a whole world outside of just Lothric Castle. I have nothing bad to say about this fight. It's not an A-level fight by any means, but I'm happy to give it just like a low B.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the first time I saw him crawling out of his little icy fog gate, I was like, ooh, what's this now? You know, because you've only seen knights on 2 legs previously, and then there's like this hamster armor that, I don't know, he's kind of like got a little... Yeah.
Well, Sulyvahn fucked him up.
Yeah, which is really sad, but he's like, he's cute. He's got like a friendly shape, but he's so fast, and he's got, you know, fun ice moves. Yeah, I'd put this thing in like a mid-low B, you know? I think it's iconic.
Well, iconic would mean A.
Okay, well, I think it's...
I don't think it's iconic.
He's memorable.
Sure.
When I think of Dark Souls 3, he does like flick past my vision
a little bit. I'm gonna put him maybe under the Gundyrs.
Oh.
What do you think? You think he's above?
I think he's above Champion Gundyr and below
Iudex?
Iudex
okay.
Gundyr.
They're all 3 of them are holding hands.
Yeah.
They're a throuple.
Boyfriends.
All right.
Okay.
It's funny. These last couple are just like...
Wait. No. I love High Lord Wolnir.
Okay. Well,
I love this guy so much.
You're cuckoo bananas for liking High Lord Wolnir.
I know I am.
This fight is... Okay. I will say... touching the cup, getting to the void,
love
and then
it.
The giant skeleton
it was
coming
so
out.
Cool.
Is cool.
I was like, ah! And I like turned back.
Yeah.
Because did not expect it.
And then you just break the golden bracelets and then it's over. It is not as gimmicky as the ancient wyvern, but it is damn near close.
Okay, vibes alone, I fucking love this thing. I'd put it an A just because I'm like, I love looking at him. I love his character design. I love being in the room with him. I don't know what
You're laughing because I'm looking at you like...
Yeah, well now I'm embarrassed because I'm like, oh, it's High Lord Wolnir, and I'm like twirling my hair and I don't know why. But I just like, I'm obsessed with this boss. It's a big skeleton. That's kind of how I felt visiting the giant graveyard in Dark Souls 1. I loved that place. That was like one of my favorite locations. I just love big skeletons. I don't know what it is about me, but when I see a big skeleton, I'm like, yay. So I love this thing. I understand though.
So are you gonna...
I'm gonna be nice and say you can put it somewhere in B.
B?
I know this fight.
B?
I know this fight sucks, but I love High Lord Wolnir. I love that he's got big, like, jinkly bracelets.
Oh my god.
I'm projecting so much onto this thing.
It is literally like you've been handed a... I don't want to be that
There
mean.
are tears in my eyes. I fucking love High Lord Wolnir. He's like the church giants to me from Bloodborne, where like looking at them with their little hats and their little cowbell necklaces makes me insane. That's how I feel about High Lord Wolnir.
You are crying right now.
There are tears in my eyes. I can't tell what emotion I'm feeling, but...
I mean, boy.
Yeah.
I'm torn between my my sense of integrity
Uh-huh.
as a Dark Souls boss ranking YouTuber
Look at him.
and my desire to protect my wife's feelings and honor her. Because to me, actually, maybe just plug your ears for a second. I'm just going to talk to the... Don't say la la la, because that's going to sound like shit on the mic. But just... Sorry. But maybe just plug your ears for a second. I'm just going to talk to the viewers.
I'm an adult. I can handle it.
Okay.
Tell me how you'd put Lord Wolnir in D. Go right ahead. Do it.
I think this is a C tier boss.
Oh, okay. Not as bad as I was expecting.
I don't think it's a D.
Okay.
It's not painful.
No, it's an easy fight.
It's just easy and so much less than what it feels like it's about to be when you get to it.
No, for sure. But look at him.
And it's also in like a weird spot where you've just gone through the catacombs. Yes.
Well, in Dark Souls 3 Alpha, apparently he was supposed to be in the profaned city, hence all of the little piles of gold down there. He's where Yhorm is. He should be where Yhorm is.
Well, I think they're both going to be in the same spot in the C tier.
Yeah.
So, darling, is it okay if I put him in C? We're gonna get ones of comments of people saying,
but won't they be so charmed at the fact that I love High Lord
he's
Wolnir,
your meow meow,
that he's my meow meow. I mean, like the twin princes are my meow meow, but
here. C plus. What? You really want B minus?
The fact that the curse rotted Greatwood's in B and
all right. Well,
thank God.
Jesus.
I'm doing a bit. It's fine.
You're not doing a bit.
I am.
No one doing a bit would be sweating or crying that much. All right. Last boss, and then we will. I actually think the rankings will probably move around a little after they're all in here when we do our final pass over.
All right.
Yhorm the Giant.
Yes.
Now,
he's pretty cool looking.
Some good things about this boss.
He's big.
Dude, you nailed it.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I was gonna say is good about this boss fight is that he's big. There's also I think there's like a funny YouTube video where it's like every time he does a move, he gets like half the size and twice as fast.
I have to see that.
That's kind of funny.
Okay.
If you listen to my Elden Ring rankings when I talked about how I don't like when there's a weapon that you use to beat a boss easily.
Proto Rykard.
With the Rykard thing. I don't love that you just basically four-shot him.
It's almost like a wind sword, too.
It's a wind sword. And then if you have Sigmire of Katarina with you,
which
and he's also doing it, then it's over in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You get no sense of who the character is. He's just sitting in like a pit in the bottom of the earth. And Dark Souls Alpha, he was originally not supposed to be there. He was supposed to be the introductory boss to the game. That's why there's a giant coffin where Iudex Gundyr was. And Iudex Gundyr was supposed to be in the dark wood gardens and yada, 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 yada. But Yhorm the Giant, kind of just forgettable and not fun to fight. I like his little what's his Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, his like
wraith hat.
Yeah, his wraith hat's really cool. I love Yhorm's design. I'm just like showing my whole ass. I love the designs
Put it away.
Okay. Whoop. I love the designs for like 90% of the bosses in this game, and that alone makes them so fun to fight. I know that this boss sucks and not a lot of people like it. Hell, I don't even like it that much. But it's Yhorm, the Giant. You can't put that guy in C. He's Yhorm.
Watch me. This is not a B level fight. If this goes into B, I'm renaming B to B.
Okay, fine. Right. You put Lord Wolnir in B, and I'll let Yhorm be in C. Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
And I understand that you don't have to use the wind sword to fight
You
Yhorm.
don't.
That he does like go Ember mode halfway through, which is kind of fun because he's a Lord of Cinder. I just really it just really misses the mark for me.
Yeah.
And like the Sigmire of Katarina, the fact that the whole quest leads to him fighting Yhorm is like, hello, old friend. You can't just say hello, old friend, and just like have that make me feel emotions towards something.
But like,
because I like Sigmire of Katarina, but Yhorm gives him nothing. Sigmire's just like, I'm here to kill you. There's no difference in how Yhorm is. It's just, yeah, Sigmire just does kill him faster.
I think in a From Software game, any crumb is a meal, you know? Like,
well, then I wish I got a single fucking crumb from this guy. Because I starved.
All right. See? I love you, Yhorm. Below the deep.
Fine. Jeez. I can't believe you're making me rank him so high.
Oh, come on. The Deacons of the Deep is like, you like blink and it's over.
All right. So I think now is the time. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I know now is the time that we're going to go through and rearrange things. So let's just start at S. Sister Friede.
Yes.
Done. Perfect. Twin Princess, perfect. Dance to the Slave Van Gael. I think that's a solid S tier.
I agree.
2 DLC bosses, and then 2 main bosses from Lothric Castle. Yeah. Kind of makes you think, huh?
Interesting.
Aldrich. Yeah. I'm happy with him there. Sulyvahn, fine.
Thank you.
The Urethral bosses. Got A's.
Yeah.
Again, makes you think. Abyss Watchers. Are we happy at A? I still like them at A. I think they're one of the more iconic bosses of the game.
I'd say so.
Darkeater Midir. I think we put this guy in A because he was challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm sure listening back, it'll just be a lot of like, oh, he was so hard and we didn't beat him. Like, that makes it... Fuck this dragon.
Yeah.
B. Get down to B.
Fuck off.
Fuck off. You fucking dragon. I'll put him down here, though.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Soul of Cinder.
Yeah.
It's fine in B. Nameless King. Do you want to bump him up to A?
Yeah, bump him up to A. He feels weird down there.
It's a cool fight.
Yeah, it's a really cool fight.
It's tough. You had some camera issues.
Yeah.
You got disoriented. I actually think that's part of the experience because, like, if you were trapped in a storm, it would be disorienting.
Give me the ground.
Oh, I'll give you the ground.
Bonk.
Old Demon King.
Uh-huh.
Demon Prince.
Okay.
Iudex Gundyr. Vordt.
Yeah.
Champion.
Yeah.
Curse Rotted Greatwood. Would you put that down lower? In C? You think that's a C fight or lower in this tier? It's not that good of a fight.
No, but I'm not like glad it's over. Just put him below Oceiros. I actually think Oceiros should be higher.
Yeah?
Yeah. Put him like above the old Demon King. I like that fight.
I actually agree.
Yeah, I think he just like kind of slowly got bumped down, but I think he should go above. You know what?
Above Midir?
Yeah, I don't care about.
What if we do like that? Or do you think Soul of Cinder? No, I made a compelling case to myself. All right, but we're happy with this as our C?
Yeah.
All right, or B.
Yeah.
Now C. Yhorm.
Yep.
Deacons. Dragonslayer. Halflight.
I'll put Halflight beneath the Crystal Sage.
Crystal Sage. Champion.
Okay. Yeah.
And then down in D, we have the Wyvern.
Yep.
Okay.
We did it.
Dark Souls 3. We fucking did it.
That's a good ranking.
That is. Hey.
We were brutal. We were too kind. We played favorites. I played favorites. And here's where we ended up, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're the ones who ranked it, but man, what a great ranking.
Good ranking.
Whoever ranked this did a great job. And I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this list and I'm feeling so satisfied.
No notes.
And to you who hath listened so far and been on this ranking journey with us, you're cute.
It was very cute of you to listen to the end of the video.
That was, I gotta say, you kind of showed up and showed out, and we are just like impressed.
So cute of you.
Thank you for listening along. Or if you skip to the end, thank you for getting to our final ranking. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of these takes. I said years ago that I really liked reading all the comments and everything. We're at the stage of our YouTube videos where we can just read all of them and just soak them in and love them and share them with each other. So yeah, keep those coming. And if you've got any other ideas for what you want to see us rank or talk about, I mean, we started doing YouTube videos together with this very simple format just because it's easy to do and these are things we love. But if there's anything you'd want to see or hear us talk about,
let us know.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.